Back to Cap Report After Hours. After a spirited broadcast program, we sit there and kind of kick it back in a very leisurely setting. Alongside, we've invited Melissa Ziobron, the state representative from the 34th, my state representative, to kind of kick around.
Now you're in trouble.
Now I'm in trouble. Decided to kick around some of the issues of the day. And we asked Melissa to come back because as they try to figure out some budget issues, Melissa ran the bill in the legislature to legalize marijuana as a Republican. Put together a pretty good coalition. It didn't pass. It never came to a vote, right?
Yeah, no, it was PT'd like many other bills.
Right. Passed temporarily. There she goes. She's a little jargon here.
That means good night now.
No. Right. So now, explain to us as they look for things have a way of coming back, right? Because what happens is they're looking for some revenue. What's the estimates of what marijuana could bring legal?
Well, there's all different kinds of estimates based on which model you use, whether you're using Massachusetts numbers or if you go out to
which is 20% tax, I think,
Colorado.
right?
17.
Wait, 17 and the 3% local option.
And I think the local option, which was in my bill, is critically important. And you also want to make sure you give municipalities an option not to allow that industry in their neighborhood too. So, you know, I'm not sure. All the PT bills, including marijuana, according to the speaker, are fair game for the budget process. So I'm not surprised that it's still being a continuing conversation, but I think they better do some vote counts in their caucus.
But the interesting point is that, and I think what people forget is that it's going to be in Massachusetts starting in July.
Well, that's what I try to tell my Republican colleagues all the time.
So it's not like we're building some great wall and we're in the middle of nowhere and there's not going to be marijuana around us for people to drive up. And so here's a legislature and a governor who spent so much time trying to protect our borders from package store raids. Oh, we have to have Sunday sales. We have to have all these open hours because God forbid you go over the border to get liquor on Sundays.
Can I ask you a question? A straight up or down vote?
I didn't finish my point here.
How close were you?
I was winding up a point. And you just take it too long to go.
I don't have to. Yeah, man. You just take it too long, man.
I forgot my point. Go ahead. Right, go ahead.
How close were you on a straight up or down vote? How close do you think it would have been?
On marijuana itself?
Yeah.
I think they would have been short a little bit, but I think maybe 10. But I think the real issue is they didn't allow a full debate. They PT'd it after 4 legislators had an opportunity to speak. It was, you know, totally orchestrated.
Doesn't it come down to this,
so that's the frustrating
Will you bring
part.
it back next year?
I certainly will, yeah.
And what do you say to bring it back up in the next few weeks?
Well, I will say this. I have said to Representative Simowitz and others, it is not in the best interest of Connecticut residents to have this in a budget debate only. This is about real policy for the state.
I'm shocked to find out that they would put something in the budget that hasn't gone through public hearings and votes, right?
But what do you think it is that's holding other Republicans back from supporting you?
I think there's really a lot of different issues. I think if you you talk to a libertarian like me in my caucus, they would say, you know, why aren't we just saying legalize everything, believe it or not? Then you have other Republicans saying, wait a minute, this is a moral decay on society. I mean, it really depends on who you're talking to.
Well, it's going to be a moral decay in Boston.
But here's the issue, though. There's $300 million potentially at stake. We have the infrastructure now to grow. We're growing it now. I'm sure they can turn around and tax it. People will pay the tax. It's 17, 20, 25%.
Absolutely.
They'll pay it. It'll be controlled and monitored. I can't believe I'm talking like this, but the bottom line is this. When you get into a budget and they say, well, would you rather close a homeless shelter or allow legalized marijuana? Would you let, you know, these are the trades that will go along where many people will come along, and potentially some Republicans will come along to say, okay, so this is just a stepping stone to opioids. Well, studies show that where marijuana is legalized, it's actually had a positive effect on opioids.
Which is exactly why.
Because it has to deal with pain management.
Absolutely, and they're doing a great study right now at St. Francis on this exact issue, switching out opioid prescriptions for marijuana. That's my point about PTing the bill. We couldn't get into all those details because they didn't allow free flow debate. And by the way, I just read an article yesterday about marijuana-laced fentanyl, which is another reason why having it regulated and grown and you could actually go through and look at the ingredients of what's going in with these producers is really important. But I will say, producers shouldn't be the only one allowed to be in the business. And
and I also know that some of the issue surrounds about where you're going to get it, and I think that there's a move to put it in the dispensaries that are there already.
There is.
So some of the towns
I view it as a monopoly, and that's one of the issues I had with Senator Looney's bill, which is why the bill that finally was debated was the base of Senator Looney's bill, but I had insisted on some changes. You know, you can't allow people just to grow endless amount of plants. You got to be realistic about that. There's a lot of safeguards that should be in place, and as a Republican, what I keep telling people is, don't you want somebody who believes in the safety aspect of this industry to be involved in these conversations? And that's what I'm trying to do.
So if it's in the budget, will you vote for the budget?
I told Joe I would absolutely not be voting for his budget if it included marijuana. Nice try, though, and that's what I told him, because of course the lack of other issues.
And so you think there's going to be other taxes in the budget?
But it was a good try.
So you think there's going to be other taxes in the budget, obviously?
I mean, I came out of the leadership meeting this past week. I mean, they're now playing around the edges. Is it 6.9%? Is it 6.75% for a sales tax increase? I mean, those are the kinds of conversations.
And I think your boss, Themis Claridis, has said that there is no appetite within the Republican caucus for any kind of tax increase.
Yeah, we have a pretty strong coalition of our caucus members who have repeatedly.
And which Democrats can you pick off and join you?
Well, I mean, frankly, I'll be honest with you. I've attempted to have those conversations. The House Republican Caucus, we shared our budget proposal at a presentation in the legislature. I've invited any Democrats, and some have taken me up on that opportunity to go through. And I have to be honest, a lot of them don't know what's in their own caucus budget's proposal, and that's
so
the frustrating.
That's
it's
very
so
sad.
Could I have more information about their budget than they do.
On the budget that you proposed, you were eliminating the earned income tax credit.
We weren't eliminating it. We were taking. We were only rebasing it so that if you had an actual liability, you would get credit for that. So people who have paid taxes would get it back.
So do you not see that as a tax increase? Because you said that the Republicans are
I don't, because they're not paying taxes. Like I just said, that's we've removed a lot. We've said if you are paying taxes, you should get that credit. When we did the calculation with OFA, it still was about a $10 to $12 million in the EITC program for those people that had the credit.
Because one of the think tanks said that it would be raising working poor's taxes by $140
but they're
million.
not paying taxes.
But those folks aren't paying taxes.
They already
to
get a
begin with.
federal.
And yeah, and I would say that too.
So how do you? So
they get a
in your
federal
budget
earned
proposal,
income tax
your
credit.
budget proposal doesn't accept the CBAC agreement. Is that right? And so how do you fill that hole?
Well, what I said to my
It's $200
colleagues,
million.
frankly, we can talk about that, but put your cards on the table. I'm tired of looking at Republican revisions of a budget, and I have yet to see yours.
All right. That's very good. Melissa Ziobron, Capital for After Hours. We'll see you guys next week.